Everybody, welcome back into Body Time. Harry McCullough here. 4th of July is right around the corner. A lot of folks will be taking vacations. A lot of folks will be going down to Grand Isle, going off to Galveston, going off to Biloxi. A lot of folks will be on the road for sure. Here to talk about safety and road travel is Ross Brennan, of course, the Public Information Officer, Louisiana State Troopers, Troop C. Thanks for being here. We don't have the weather, maybe. I mean, you might have thunderstorms, but
Yeah.
a little different than the Christmassy kind of seasons, but still you got to be, there's still going to be people celebrating, doing a lot
Yeah.
of stuff. So it's never a wrong time to be safety on the road, have safety
No,
on the road.
definitely for sure. I mean, especially this weekend. I mean, if you're fortunate to be off Monday and Tuesday with the 4th of July holiday, you might have an extended weekend. So, like you said, a lot of people are going to be traveling. And also, this time of the year, too, with this hot weather, we're starting to see a lot of those thunderstorms that are popping
Right.
up in the afternoon. And some of them can kind of be a little bit violent in a sense. So, yeah, definitely, whenever you're driving on the roadway, traveling, wherever your destination is, definitely make sure that one, your vehicle's prepared. So whether you're going on a road trip or even getting caught in these thunderstorms, make sure that your tire tread's good, right? That we have enough ample tire tread on your vehicle. That way, if you do go into a wet roadway situation, you're not going to hydroplane. Also, make sure that your wipers,
Wipers.
exactly, yeah, your wipers. You want to be able to see what's happening in front of you. And also, anytime you have your wipers on, make sure those headlights are on too. That way, the other motorists on the roadway can see you in kind of a low light, low visibility situation.
Yeah, and that's something to note too. If it's not a car that you're always familiar with, you might be driving your wife's
Yeah,
car or somebody else's car. You might be used to it. It automatically comes on. The lights automatically come on. And some of the
correct.
newer versions, they do that. You make sure that yours are on. Same thing when you park. You want to make
Yeah.
sure they're off so you don't. But a lot of more traffic on the road means give yourself a little more time too. I'd imagine.
Most
Right?
definitely. More traffic on the road that can lead to more congestion, more getting caught in traffic jams, but also more chances of being involved in the crash. We definitely want everybody to have fun this holiday weekend, but we want them to do it safely. So whether it's the holiday weekend, but also any day of the year, right? We want you to make sure that you're making those right choices behind the wheel, because at the end of the day, a crash happened because somebody made a choice behind the wheel. And maybe it was a lapse in judgment or not paying attention, or maybe it was a poor choice like drinking and driving or not wearing a seatbelt. But something led up to that crash occurring. And whether it's a little fender bender or whether it's an injury or a fatal crash, it still is a crash, right? So whenever you drive on the road, most importantly this weekend, if you're going to have something to drink or consume any type of drug, whether prescribed or illicit, definitely make sure you have a sober driver that you can get home safely with. If you're relying on that person, or definitely make sure that that person's sober. I know a lot of times people are like, "Hey, look, I got y'all this.
I'm good.
I'm
Yeah.
good. I'm good at the end of the night." But whenever you get to the party or whatever, your sober driver who should be sober, you see him dancing on top of the bar, right? And so you're like, "Well, whoever's the least drunk amongst us is going to drive,
Yeah,
right?"
it's fine. That's not a
So
good choice.
that is definitely not what you want to be doing, right? So have that person, hey, look, I got y'all tonight, whether it's drawing short straws, or hey, look, we're gonna buy you dinner at the Waffle House later on if you drive sober. But have that plan before you even go out. And if you don't have that option, see if you can just stay wherever you're going. You're going to your partner's house or whatever. Say, hey, look, can I crash at the house
Right.
tonight? Just be thinking of something smart. Anything's better than getting on the roadway while being impaired.
Yeah, no doubt. And look, this kind of weather, dehydrated, you
Yep.
might drink more or you might be affected more because you're dehydrated. This type of weather also means being on the water,
Hmm.
but also means on highways pulling boats. So I
Yeah.
guess that's something to make sure that the boats are always secure, make sure those bearings are always, the tires are inflated, that kind of stuff too.
Correct. Make sure the trailer tires are up to snuff, just like a vehicle's tires. Make sure it's properly connected to that truck. Also, make sure that boat is properly strapped down. There's sometimes incidents of
Oh,
the boat
all the
coming off the
time. Yeah.
trailer, right? So make sure the trailer lights work as well. So you just want to give yourself the best situation. In addition to boats and trucks on the road, also motorcycles too. The weather's getting warmer. You're starting to have those sunny days. Watch out for motorcycles too as you're driving on the road, right? Because as
Yeah.
anybody's using the road is responsible for making sure it's safe for all occupants, not just motorcycles, but also bicyclists too.
Bicycles.
They have just as much right to the roadway as a car does. Now, of course, at night they have to, or between the morning and late afternoon, if it's low light, they have to have some type of headlight and rear tail light on that bicycle. But they have just as much right to
Right.
that roadway as a motorcycle or a car does as well.
Yeah, it's not a good rule, but it's a rule. No,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's my own personal little thing. Anyway, I'm just teasing. But look, we all been on fishing expeditions. You get up in the morning, you drive down to Grand Isle, you fish all day, even if you're not drinking.
Yeah.
And then you try and drive back after you've been on, water, and it just it can disorient you. You can get tired. You can fall asleep. So that's always something to.
And being fatigued, right?
Right.
Somebody who's fatigued and doesn't have a whole lot of sleep, that can be just as dangerous as somebody who's been
Right.
driving impaired, right? So if you are out in that water, just make sure you're properly hydrated, because state troopers and police are going to be on the roadway. You're also going to have wildlife and fisheries too out there looking for impaired boaters. You can get DWI just as much as you can get on the road, on the water, whether it's a boat or a jet ski, whatever it might
It's
be.
same rules as a boat as a car.
Yep.
But what? How does an open container work?
Oh, as far as that goes,
Yeah.
no, that's separate. What we were talking, what I thought you were talking about was like as
Well,
far
it
as
was
the
at first,
breath
but yeah.
limit and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the same for a boat and a car.
Yeah. No, I just didn't know because I have seen the
Yeah.
the advertisement saying, "Hey, same rules apply," and I know what you're saying, but I didn't know how open containers work. But obviously, the driver can't be impaired.
Yeah, of course.
'Cause you can get a lot of trouble there as well. Distractive driving always an
Yeah.
issue, right? Don't want to be texting.
Yeah, but not even just texting other passengers in the car. Even cars nowadays, they're so complicated with all these screens everywhere. And so there's a lot of things that take your mind and attention away from the roadway. Whenever you're behind that wheel, your priority should be focusing on the road, because how can you even react to a hazard if you don't even see it, right? So again, it takes all of us making those right choices to prevent somebody from getting killed and not going back home to their family.
And even if you're in a self-driving car, right, a Tesla or whatever,
Still got to
you
pay
got to
attention.
pay attention. You got to be doing it.
Yep.
And a lot of times you do kind of, car's got it. We'll see. I don't have a Tesla. People need the Louisiana State Police to help them out on roadsides. Y'all do have an easy way to get in touch, right?
We do. The easiest thing to remember is dial star LSP or star 577. Troopers are out there to be able to assist if you have a flat tire, run out of gas, things such as that. We're there to help, but you want to make sure you're on the right side of our help, and you don't want to showing up whenever you're driving impaired, like we were just talking about
Right.
earlier, right? So, yeah, we are out there if you do come across a situation where you need some roadside assistance or some lights behind you while you're changing a flat. Also, there's an app that you can download too, Louisiana 511 app. It's on smartphones. As you're planning your routes, that will show with DOTD where there's certain road closures or traffic jams or stuff like that. That's another tool that you can have in your box to be able to figure out which route you need to take.
Just state troopers. You think about, oh wait, you're not supposed to be here. It's supposed to be a city cop or sheriff. State troopers can go any state highway or anywhere.
Anywhere, yeah. Our jurisdiction's a whole entire state. And so unlike like sheriff or city police, right? It's just within that city or parish. We can go all over. And you can even have a trooper down here get transferred up to Monroe or Shreveport, and they can do the same exact job because our jurisdiction's the whole entire state.
Right, but as far as getting help,
Any
even if you're
roadway-
on a state highway,
So if you're
parish
on
road?
if you're on the parish road or a side road, and if you do need some assistance, you can call Star LSP, and our call center will kind of direct you to those proper resources. But if you're on a state or a federal highway, you can call us, like I said, that number, and we'll be able to send somebody out for it.
I got you. Okay, so young drivers, this is the time. I remember I did it. You're not in school. This is when you take driver's ed. So a lot of those young driver's ed kids are now starting to be drivers. So be on the lookout and give those little guys a break, huh?
Yeah, give them a break. You're starting to see more of those student driver cars around. They're learning just like you had to learn at one point. I know sometimes you might get stuck behind one that's going a little bit slower. Just have some patience, right? Kind of give them some space. They might make some mistakes. They might kind of come over into your lane, right? But they're learning. They have to do that. Another thing is, as a parent with the students out for the summer, keep in mind that Louisiana has graduated driver's license law, which means that at certain ages, 15, 16, 17, there's certain restrictions that they have behind the wheel. So if they're 16 years old, they can only transport one person inside the vehicle who is not an immediate family member between the hours of 6 p.m. and 5 a.m. unless they're with a licensed parent or guardian or sibling, right? So you got the 16-year-old wants to go hang out with all of his friends, driving around after 6 p.m. That's not allowed underneath the law. And the whole point of that is that you have a young, inexperienced driver transporting around a bunch of other young occupants, right? A lot of chance of being distracted, people playing on the phone, loud music, whatever it might be. we want to reduce those chances of crashes by having them focus a little bit better by reducing the amount of passengers.
So you can have one.
You can only have one who is not an immediate family member. Now,
Okay.
that's between the
That's
hours
6 p.m. and 5
6
a.m.
p.m. and 5 a.m. However, if you are 16, you can't be on the roadway between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m.
It's the regular curfew.
Yeah, almost like a regular curfew. Curfews are kind of a little bit, I guess, parish dependent and stuff like that. But as far as when it comes to that graduated driver's license, we want to reduce those amount of young drivers on the roadway late at night. Now, of course, if it's like an emergency situation, whatever, right, there's some allowances for that. But just kind of bebopping around, driving around, no, you can't be on the road at that time.
I got you. That is new. I remember, we had one guy that had a license. It was like a clown car. We had 10 guys in there, right? And a Toyota Tercel or something, Okay, so which brings us to like seatbelt uses, focused driving, which is part of that too, seatbelts and all that.
Most definitely. If you were inside that vehicle and then you're in a seat with a seatbelt, you have to wear it. So the front, middle,
and the back.
and the back, the third row, it does not matter. We want to make sure that by having those seatbelts on, you're giving your best chance of survival in the event of a crash. You might have a minor crash with that seatbelt on. You might have a little cut or a little bruise, but if you are not wearing that seatbelt, you have a whole lot more injuries or even death, right? So it's your best defense to surviving a crash. And so, like I said, it doesn't matter what seat you're in, day or night, no matter how long the journey or short it is, whenever you're least expecting it, that's when the crash can occur. So be set up for success at the beginning.
Kids in a car, what's their ages for seat belt? We've talked about having seats for children, but it goes up to a pretty big size and a pretty high age, huh?
So typically around 9 years old, that's a booster, but it's kind of a hard question to answer here because every child's a little bit different, every car's a little bit different, every car seat's a little bit different with what their requirements are as far as the height or the weight. So what we recommend is that if you can keep, let's say you're at that point where you're considering transitioning a child from rear facing the forward facing. Under Louisiana law, the minimum age to make that transition from rear to forward is 2 years. However, what we recommend is that if you can keep them rear facing as long as possible. So even though they are 2 years old, if they are still underneath that maximum height and weight limit for that seat for facing rearward, keep them rear facing, right? Because it's always safer to keep them in that that lower seating configuration than transitioning them.
And it's the seat of the car that determines that.
Well, that's the car seat. And as far as the booster seat goes, this is all stuff that you can find online. They have what's called the 5-step test. So maybe you're at the point where, do I have to transition the kid out of a booster seat to just the car seat? There's certain requirements that they have to pass. They have to make sure that seatbelt is properly across their chest, is properly across their hips, is not riding up on their neck. Their feet are able to touch the floorboards of the car, and their knees are at the natural break of the seat, so their legs aren't sticking out or anything like that. Every car's a little bit different. They might fit in mom's little sedan, but they might not fit in dad's pickup truck, right? So that's some things that you can watch out for.
Interesting. No, I did not know that. I thought it might be an age, but it's more about how they fit in the seat.
And there's like I said, there's you can find all that. Buckle Up Louisiana is a great resource. We have the certain laws for childs and stuff like that, and also fitting stations in the area where you can go have a certified technician look and check it out for you.
Okay, one more time. Star LSP.
Yep. Start if you need roadside assistance, and also look at that Louisiana 511 app for road closures as well.
Yeah, and that'll give you a good advance, and then you won't be trying to. If you get stuck behind something, you're not trying to make up time, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's okay to be late. It's okay to be late.
All right, Ross. Thank you so much. Stay safe this holidays. We'll be right back with more Bite Time after this.